Hello, I'm Archie Luxury and welcome to the program. Today I'd like to go through the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. That's right, the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. Now, for viewers of my other videos on watches, which was the 10 greatest wristwatches of all time, this list is open to all luxury items, and I've had a really good think about what are the greatest luxury items of all time, and I've put together a list. So without further ado, let me know what you think, and tell me if you think I've got it wrong or I've got it right, because I'm Archie Luxury and I fucking well know I've got it right, because who else knows luxury like I do? So let's start the list. In number 1 position for the greatest luxury item of all time, I've awarded the prize to the Patek Philippe Calatrava series, and the Patek Calatrava series is a range of wristwatches which was originally released in the 1930s by Patek Philippe. And the Calatrava line is probably the signature line of Patek Philippe. It's probably the most famous of all the Patek models. And Patek is really a boutique brand. It's a brand which is only recently, with Charlie Sheen bringing fame to the brand for the hoi polloi, that it's actually come out for everyday schmucks and citizens. So, it's in one way that's a good thing, but in many ways it's actually quite a bad thing. But yes, Patek Philippe, it's a great line of watches. I mean, with prices starting for a brand new Patek Philippe Calatrava starting at about the 20,000 US or Australian dollar mark. For an automatic version, you're probably looking about the $28,000 mark, and for any type of complication, the sky's the limit. So with Patek Philippe, you're looking at an entry-level price for a simple manual wind wristwatch of around about the 20 grand mark. In the ladies offering, for a quartz steel piece with a diamond dial, you're looking, prices start about the $15,000 mark. So you're looking at a hefty investment to reach the Patek Philippe level. And the thing about wristwatches is they are just so in vogue and so in fashion, and Patek defies fashion. It's never been a brand to follow trends. It's just a quiet Swiss watchmaker who makes the best wristwatch in the world. And with Patek Philippe, whether your piece is a simple manual wind piece, or whether it's an automatic piece with a date, or whether it's a complicated piece, it's the quality of Patek Philippe which makes it what it is. And hopefully with hefty prices starting at 20,000, it can keep a lot of the undesirable people away from the brand. It's certainly not a gaudy brand. It's not a brand that strikes out and it says it's really a brand for the people in the know, and I'd really prefer to keep it that way. I don't really want tactless critters buying into this brand, but hopefully with prices starting at 20,000, it'll keep the undesirables out of the brand. Okay, number 2 spot. Number 2 spot goes to the Louis Vuitton hard case luggage, and Louis Vuitton hard case luggage is incredibly famous. The Americans like to call it trunks, which is actually another type of hard case luggage, but I'm awarding this to the hard case suitcases because they're an item that is very, very, very classic French, very classic chic, hard-sided, which Americans prefer softer side luggage. Hard side luggage itself there, with prices starting at the $6,000 mark for a simple suitcase, it keeps most of the undesirables out of the out of that product line. And with hard case luggage itself there, there's been the main 2 Louis Vuitton pieces are the Biston and the Alza. and those two lines there have basically remained the same since their inclusion at the turn of the last, not this century just gone, but the start of the 1900s. So it's a long history that Louis Vuitton has been making these critters, and they're made with such finesse and skill and craftsmanship. The wood is poplar wood, and it's aged for up to 10 years to stop it bowing or bending, and it's attention to detail that like that makes this item ageless, and also it makes it an heirloom. And hopefully with prices starting at $6,000, it'll keep a lot of the undesirables out of the brand. And with Louis Vuitton luggage itself there, could you use it on a commercial flight? Well, unfortunately, I don't think you could. The way the airline staff treat heirloom luggage like this is quite deplorable. And it's quite disappointing, but it certainly, in modern times, it makes a great arrangement in your home. It shows that you're chic and with the current trends. But Louis Vuitton hard case luggage, does it get any grander? And hopefully with prices starting at $6,000 and climbing fast very quickly, it'll keep a lot of the undesirables out of that range of luggage. Okay, moving on. Number 3 spot. In the 3rd spot there, I've awarded the place to the 1 carat plus diamond ring, and that's the single diamond solitaire, preferably a round brilliant cut or a radiant cut diamond, which is over 1 carat. And this has been as much of an invention by De Beers as anyone else there. And the 1 carat diamond ring there, I could easily say a 1 carat Tiffany ring, but Tiffany invented the setting. And the diamond itself, there's many fine jewelers who specialize in diamonds, from Cartier to Harry Winston, Tiffany themselves, of course. So I really want to just brand this as the 1 carat ring in a classic setting. And the 1 carat ring really took off after the 1960s and 1970s, when America was enjoying such an affluent time. So it became standard in certain parts to expect at least a 1 carat diamond when you were getting engaged. And in some pre-GFC, in some parts of New York and upmarket California, the 2 to 3 carat was considered standard. But I'm making this tribute here to the 1 carat, the 1 carater, because I think it has quite nice origins. It's humble origins after a post-war boom, and I think that aspiration for the lower middle class, or the middle, or the upper middle class, the 1 carater, what a sign of success and fulfillment. And I just feel it's just such an iconic size in diamonds, and if it wasn't for the marketing brilliance of De Beers, we may not have you may not have put the hard word onto your husband to get the 1 carat, and you may not have lived happily ever after. So there we go. 3rd spot goes to the 1 carat single diamond solitaire type ring, the 1 carat plus diamond ring. Okay, moving right along there to 4th spot. 4th spot goes to the Hermes handbag, and the 2 great models in the Hermes range are the Hermes Kelly bag and the Hermes Birkin. And what a great fuck off piece the Hermes bags are, starting at about $8,000 for a Kelly, and climbing really high depending on what sort of skin you want, and prices of $50,000 are not unheard of for a Birkin. So those two those two brands, sorry, those two lines in the Hermes brand. What an absolute statement! And if it wasn't for programs like Sex and the City or things like that, we wouldn't have realised that Princess Grace was actually holding a thing which was worth more than most people's car. And we wouldn't have dreams for the lower middle class of actually buying a handbag which is represents probably half a year's salary for a lot of women in the workforce. And it's quite a tribute to see the Birkins and the Kellys out in the workforce. And I've seen a few in the real world, but there's always that Hermes waiting list period. And if you've read the book Bringing Home the Birkin, you can realize what a myth all this bullshit is, really. And I've got to say, when it comes to bullshit waiting lists, the French do it like no other race on earth. And it's quite a funny thing there. But the Hermes handbag, an absolute tribute to snobbery and elitism. What a fantastic product. So that's position 4, the Hermes Kelly bag and Hermes Birkin. Okay, moving right along. Number 5 spot. Number 5 spot goes to the Mont Blanc pen. The Mont Blanc fountain pen, the Mont Blanc ball pen, the Mont Blanc rollerball, or the Mont Blanc pencil. It doesn't really matter as long as it's a Mont Blanc. And with that famous white top, you can do no wrong with a Mont Blanc in your pocket. And there was a time when Mont Blanc made only pens. Now they make men's aftershave, they make wallets, they make briefcases, they make even jewelry, which is quite a shame. I mean, I'm rather disappointed with Mont Blanc because I think they've cheapened the brand by even producing watches when Mont Blanc has absolutely no watchmaking history. And it just in my opinion, I think it's cheapened the luxury line. And whilst I do love my Mont Blancs, I certainly can't forgive Mont Blanc for trying to cash in on their brand name and symbol. And I think it's quite disappointing. There was a time when a Mont Blanc was the finest writing instrument available, and I got to say, in all honesty, I think those days are over. And Mont Blanc, I think, has cheapened the brand, and it's a great shame. But Mont Blanc, what a luxury item, and it's just how things change. Okay, 6th spot I've awarded to the Rolex Datejust. Now, it makes no difference if we're talking men's Datejust or ladies' Datejust. The Datejust itself has always been an item which has been wanted by the up-and-coming middle class. And look, Rolex's success in the 60s, 70s, 80s. You look at the American marketplace, and there's heaps of examples of this watch here. It was an aspirational purchase in the 70s and 80s for a lot of middle-class Americans. They wanted a Rolex. And equally so, you look at the Singaporean market and the 6694, the Rolex Oyster Date, which is a little bit smaller than the Datejust. It was a cracker of a piece in Singapore, and the next step above a Oyster Date was a Datejust, and the Datejust itself is just such an iconic piece. And it's really the Rolex Datejust needs to be included in the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. I mean, okay, your sleazy uncle with the Cadillac also wore a Rolex, but that's not the point. I mean, the Rolex is an aspirational item, and it was when America was grand and free, and they made a good Cadillac instead of these fucking SUV Cadillacs. And the Rolex Datejust. I mean, you know, you haven't arrived in the upper middle class until you have a Rolex Datejust, and it's such a magnificent watch. And the sad thing is, with the American economy going in the shitter, many middle class people have sold off their Rolex to help pay for nasty lawyers, for home repossessions and other nasty shit. But the Rolex Datejust, it's a symbol. It's a beacon of being middle class, upper middle class, but it's a form of true luxury that only Rolex with its Datejust can bring up. So there we go. We've awarded the Rolex Datejust. We've given it a spot in this list. Okay, number 7 spot. True luxury. We're thinking 1930s, 1940s. What was real luxury? Okay, we're talking pearls. That's right. With the start of the pearl farming in the Japanese markets there, where they invented the cultured pearl, suddenly pearls became a much more commodified type item. And look, when we're talking pearls, we're not talking shitty freshwater fuckers. We're talking saltwater pearls only. South Sea pearls, big fuckers, blemish free. That's what we're talking. And luxury pearls, you know, yes, okay, they're a little bit dated now, but fuck, pearls have never been out of style. And particularly big, expensive set of pearls. And look, let's be realistic here. For a nice set of 12mm pearls, you know, you're probably going to be looking at, for a South Sea Tahitian sort of pearl, you're looking at least $10,000 to $20,000. And yes, it's luxury. There's nothing like genuine saltwater pearls, and these freshwater fuckers are useless. I mean, they're just a fashion item. As someone said, the freshwater pearls will last a lifetime. The saltwater pearls are an heirloom to pass down and down and down. So, look, the saltwater pearl, I think it's a symbol of true luxury. And the great thing about this is that it doesn't necessarily need to be branded. I mean, it's just like the diamond. It's not really any particular brand of salt water pearl. It's more to do with the quality and the size and the color and those sort of things. And the saltwater pearl, for me, it's a peacock green Tahitian pearl. That's sort of my favorite, and everyone's slightly different, but yep, I think you got to spend at least $10,000 fucking dollars to get something decent. So hopefully that'll keep the hoi polloi out of that item there. South Sea Pearl, proudly awarded spot 7 in this list. Item 8, I'm going to award this position to the Gucci sunglasses. That's right, Gucci. I know Gucci went through a bad phase where they put their fucking name on anything from thongs to undergarments, but the Gucci sunglasses, Aristotle Onassis style Gucci sunglasses. Is there anything else that is so confronting? And Gucci sunglasses, and I think they're a piece of luxury that's a bit affordable, and a good pair of Gucci sunglasses will set you right for many years to come there. So I'm awarding 8 spot to Gucci sunglasses, and this is a fantastic item either for men or women. It doesn't matter. The Gucci sunglass, just a beautiful pair of glasses to wear. Okay, spot 9, I'm awarding to the Louis Vuitton ladies handbag. And yes, the Louis Vuitton handbag. It's an aspirational type item for the lower middle class, and it's an item that for the true rich is actually quite affordable. With Louis Vuitton Alma handbags about the $1,200 to $1,600 mark, they're actually quite reasonable in price. It's only a week or week and a half's wages for most people. But the luxury of a Louis Vuitton handbag, I mean, nothing else conjures up such privilege and such style and chic and everything. And the Louis Vuitton handbag, I mean, it's the reason so many Louis Vuitton handbags are fakes, because women all around the world want to be branded with the LV of that French house of style. And the Louis Vuitton handbag, what a piece of having arrived, and nothing says it better than an LV placed item. And it's also spawned the reintroduction of the damier handbag, the damier Louis Vuitton pattern, and Epi, and Louis Vuitton itself. I mean, does it get any grander than having a Louis Vuitton handbag? Well, it does. There's the Hermes handbag, but look, for most people, the Louis Vuitton handbag is still out of reach, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But the Louis Vuitton handbag itself, with prices starting at around $1,000, it's that's only a week's wages for a lot of women, and a lot of men too. They can afford that. So the Louis Vuitton handbag is becoming more affordable as society becomes more affluent. But with the economy in the shitter, it's good to see that people are moving down to Coach instead of getting Louis Vuitton. And the other interesting statistic is, I noted that with the big floods in America a couple years ago, this is in the South there, in Mississippi and all that there, the big cyclone Katrina, that a lot of people with their flood aid, a lot of women went out and bought a Louis Vuitton handbag. And I can think of nothing better to buy when you're on your ass, everything's been fucked off, get a bit of luxury in your life. And I support that move 100%. And I think the Louis Vuitton handbag is one of the greatest luxury items of all time. Okay, item 10. This is the final item on the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. There can only be one 10th spot, and I'm awarding it to the Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos clock. That's right. That's the clock that doesn't need winding, doesn't take batteries. It works on changes in the atmosphere. And I've got to say, Archie's owned a few Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos clocks, and I think Archie's had about 3 or 4 of them, but only one worked properly. I mean, they're a bitch to service, and normal clockmakers have no fucking idea on how to fix them. And but besides that, when they're working, they're a great item. And the great thing about the Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos clock is that it's a gift for presidents and dictators and heads of state, and it's sort of remained off the list of most middle class people. It's sort of very much sort of a heads of state gift, and with prices starting at about $6,000 to $7,000 for a new one, you can see why it hasn't really filtered through to society. But the Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos clock, what a piece, what a symbol of having arrived, and it's the sort of present you'd give yourself if you were a museum. But it's a fantastic piece, and I do love the Jaeger-LeCoultre Atmos clock, and I'm awarding it 10th spot in the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. Okay, I'm Archie Luxury, and I hope you've enjoyed my series, the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. Tell me what you think. Did I fuck the order up? Have I fucked up the list? You tell me what you think I did right and what I did wrong. I'm really keen to hear this. And the 10 greatest luxury items, I mean, I sat down with a blank piece of paper and thought to myself, what items are true luxury, what items are true aspirational items for the lower middle classes. And once I sat down and saw what people really were aspiring to and hoping to get there, the pen started moving, and actually it was a Mont Blanc pen. The ink started flowing out, and I made this list up. So please tell me what you think. It's always very interesting to hear people's thoughts here. I did have a few other pieces which I was going to include, but they didn't make the list, and I'll tell you what they were. I was going to include the Hermes scarf, and I was really keen to put that in there, but it just, at the end of the day, it's only a piece of fucking silk. And, you know, I kind of thought, maybe not. It's a little bit old. The other piece I was going to include was the Goyard hard case luggage. But I don't think most people, even lower, even middle or upper middle class people, have even heard of Goyard. But yes, the Goyard hard case suitcase is the Palace trunk. It's equally as nice as the Louis Vuitton Alza or Biston. It's probably a smidgen better. It's a little bit more exclusive, but you know, the thing is, it has to be an item which most people have heard of. I mean, what's the fucking point in having a $10,000 suitcase if the fucker on $7 an hour taking it to your room has never fucking heard of it? I mean, what's the point? I mean, with luxury, it has to be something that people loathe and despise you for. I mean, what's the point in having something if it's not so clear-cut? And, you know, maybe a decade or two ago, Patek Philippe did not have the envy, and it's only now with Charlie Sheen coming out and pronouncing Warlock time that Patek is starting to get star billing, and that's I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. But I'm Archie Luxury, and I hope you've enjoyed the 10 greatest luxury items of all time. See you later.